Welcome back, Smile Mentor community. Matt Griffin here, your Smile Mentor. Wanted to, today's a little bit of a special episode as well. Laura is a patient for a clinic that we also did some work for. So got to know her before I had my procedure even in mind. And Laura was part of the inspiration for doing this whole Smile Mentor. So I want to tell Laura publicly, thank you for helping me see the power of what she went through on documenting the video series, from some of her healing, some of what we've done. We got some of our inspiration from. We just took it to a different route because of some of the relationships we have. But Laura really, I honestly do not know a patient who's done more due diligence. If I was a dentist, she'd be my toughest patient. Really, because the amount of community and forums, and she's got a real self page, and she has her own YouTube channel, and she really helped educate some of the patients out there. So if you haven't looked her up, please do. I think it's the Texas Smile Queen. I'll put the description. I'll actually put the link below in the video. But she gives some great insight, and you can see real time when she was going through the process as well. In the video, she shares a lot of some of her negative experiences, some things to avoid, some practices out there that she went to, and some of the rhetoric, if you will, that she got. And so, as fellow patients out there, you know what it's like to go to that dentist, to go to that one, and God, if you're blessed enough to avoid them from the get-go, but those that just, but the good news is there are some good ones out there. But I think Laura, again, you guys, get your pen and pad out, because there are a lot of good questions that she helps walk you through, and that you should ask your clinician if you're just looking into the process and your consultations and that kind of stuff. But again, Laura, thank you personally again for doing this, and hope you guys enjoy. And for all the followers out there, thank you. And for the non-subscribers, let's turn you into subscribers. And for those of you that are new to this, description below, read more about us, and that way you can quit hearing me talk and start hearing from Laura. Thanks, guys. Have a blessed day. Well, gosh, this has been a marathon, less than 24 hours for my journey to go pretty intensely different. And so for you to make time this fast, I didn't plan on this happening this quick, but for you to carve out some time, I really, really appreciate.
Got a lot of time during quarantine.
Yeah. Well, but you really, a little how we met, just so we can kind of let the viewers out there know how you and I got to know each other. I was doing some work for Dr. Skander, and I got to see your journey from a different angle. You told it, you were phenomenal in how you documented it. You really took time, which I was highly appreciative of, because when we talked first time, I told you I'm a patient first. I don't care who I'm doing work for that's a client. I'm always a patient first, and that's what lets me serve our clients well.
Sure.
So we got to see you go through this process. So tell me, I've watched a lot of the videos, not all. I think you've done over 40 now. Is that correct? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's about 40, and
oh
so
my gosh.
You really took the time to 24 hours, 72 hours, day 5, day 8, and so it was 2 years ago. So kind of tell me just a short background on, I know you were saving up for this, I know the dislike for the teeth. Walk me through, now you're ready to make a decision, what got you to that point, and what made you start documenting?
I think that I went to the dentist, my dentist that I had since I was like 12.
Okay.
And so from 12 to, I don't know, 54.
Really?
Yeah. And he was kind of a rough dentist, and he pulled a lot of teeth because I didn't have a lot of money. He crowned a bunch of teeth. He did root canals in almost every tooth I had. And we were getting to a point to where I was getting split roots every time with every tooth, because those root canals were really old. They were like 20 years old. And my teeth were just drying out. I took really good care of my teeth. I wasn't, I didn't have decay or anything, but I was about to lose this tooth here, and the only option was to build a very big bridge with implant in the back. And when I went and talked to another, he was. My dentist did not do oral surgery, so he was going to send me to somebody in North Dallas, and that doctor was like, well, the implant would be like $4 or $5 grand,
right.
And then the bridge would be $4 grand, something like. So we're talking like $10,000 or $11,000 for this piece, and it was going to be anchored to another tooth that had had a root canal 20 years ago, and so I just started thinking, I just have to get this done, because it's never going to end. This patching of my teeth is never going to end. I'd already spent over 20 grand on my teeth, because every time you get a root canal and a crown, you're talking, a couple of thousand or 1,800 or whatever. And so I'd already spent thousands on my mouth. And I just figured this would be the final solution for my mouth, is to just get rid of all of it and start over, and
Clean slate.
yeah, I didn't have a fear dentist. I didn't have a decaying mouth. My problems were genetic, I suppose. The problems that I had with my teeth were with my nerves. That's how they always started, with my nerves needing a root canal. I'd get an abscess. I had abscesses that went all the way above my eyes.
Oh my God.
They went all the way around. The kind of abscesses where they have to put drain tubes in your mouth.
Drain tubes?
Yes. I was never scared
Not drain
of
it, but actually drain
tubes for like a week. Yeah. And I was super lucky that it didn't do any, it was dangerous. But I didn't have a lot of money. So I had to, it was like I'd wait and think it'll calm down, because sometimes those abscesses will go away after a round of antibiotics, and it didn't. And I'm pretty tough. I have a very high pain threshold, and I was never scared of the dentist, and I still ended up with this. So I always felt like that people look down on people with dental problems, always thinking it was from neglect or from being a meth head.
So frustrating.
Right?
It really is.
It is. And I distinctly remember going into a store before I started having all the work done, back when I was married to my first husband. My teeth were really in bad shape. And I remember the person, basically kind of the pretty woman thing, saying, I don't think that you can afford this. And I was like, look, I have money here to buy this, and it was all because of my teeth. It was all because of my teeth. They made an instant judgment. So for me, it was a professional and personal decision. I knew I would gain some credibility, instant credibility, having nice teeth.
Sure.
As unfair as it is, that's just how it is.
It's the way it is. It's
right?
The rules of the game.
And you couple that with being a bit heavy and being middle-aged, and that's a recipe for professional disaster.
Yeah.
Having bad teeth on top of being middle-aged and a little heavy.
Yeah. Understanding when you say about the professional side of things and the personal side of things, the effect it has on your confidence, right? That's really where sometimes it might not even have that much effect, although it does some. We know that.
Yeah.
But how much effect it has on us, how we carry ourselves, that confident that, when you're going in and you've got, and so, when it was time for me to get married, a little over 10 years ago, I was not going to have those wedding photographs with the teeth that I had. And so, you know, we went, I didn't have the cash at that time to really do a whole full deal on, you know, my teeth were in fairly good shape. I just wanted crowns or veneers or whatever. So I had the whole top row with some of the bridges, you know, because I had some extractions, but the whole top row done. And you know, when I had that done, and I loved my smile, the difference that made from a professional side is amazing.
It's
because
amazing.
you know, like you, I'll have to, back when I was in the oil and gas business, and even now that I'm teaching all these doctors around the country, like, I'm up there, I'm on stage, I'm having to teach, and you know, I know you do a lot of public speaking, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I, I've been public speaking now for 20 years. To be very specific, I'm a sort of a glorified trainer.
Okay.
I have a very specific set of skills that a certain group would like my feedback on things. So I speak to people, as many as 300, 400 people sometimes.
Wow.
And
so it's not just a breakout room. I mean, there's some sizable.
And I'm known throughout my industry. So, and people that know me well swear they never noticed my teeth. They, you know, but I usually apologize for my clothes when I walk in because I'm sort of an IT-ish person. Mm-hmm. So I go in and I'm always like, the people that I work with are always completely formally dressed, the people I talk to. And so I usually go in and make some sort of joke about, you know, I can always tell who I'm talking to because, you know, I'm dressed like the IT person, but that never bothered me. And the people that work with me swear they never noticed how bad my teeth were, but they were bucked really far out, and they were had big gaps between them, and you were starting to see the gray of the crowns at the top.
The metal.
And I know that people had to think that. You know, I also present globally, so I didn't feel so self-conscious in Asia or Europe.
Yeah, right, or England, right?
Right. But in the U.S., I felt extremely self-conscious about my teeth. And
isn't that funny? You know, I was talking to Nicholas, who used to be the head of Zircon Dental Designers there, and Nicholas, he was talking about how he's done All-On-4 cases for the English, and they'll ask them for the shades darker to have some of the teeth messed up because that's their
I did that
culture.
too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
He fought against me on it because I wanted my teeth, I took all these photos from when I was young, and I wanted my teeth to be a bit crooked. I wanted them to not be bright white. I think it may be a little difficult with this material to make them crooked. You want a good bite, right? So I knew that I didn't want my bite compromised.
Right.
But I didn't want perfect teeth. I wanted darker color, and I don't think I have the brightest white. But it's still, my bigger concern is long term. When I'm 75, 80 years old, these might look kind of freakish, you know, being so perfect.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And I just think that people don't notice if they're a little yellow, a little crooked, and it'll blend as I age. Right, it'll blend as I age.
Character. You know, and that's a good point. I mean, I worked on helping build that material from a business marketing side of things right alongside, so I've learned way more about material than I ever thought. But what would be an interesting fact is, can you every 10 years go in for a little shading or any of that kind of stuff? I don't know why I've never asked that.
It's worth asking.
That's a great point.
I've thought about it. I need to keep one thing I always mean to tell people that are going through this is write down your questions. Keep a notebook handy at your house, because you'll come up with these thoughts and then you forget when you go to the doctor.
Yeah, very
always
easily
forget. I always forget.
Because you're in the moment, you're trying to also assess the situation. You got a lot of things going.
Right, I always forget.
Okay, just to kind of give you guys some added color on why I was so excited to invite Laura, not just invite her, but was really jazzed to sit down with her before my surgery, which is in less than 24 hours, right? Now you get to, was because we've all been through, spent money, things that probably should have gone differently, right? I mean, it's just, we're all in that. And I tend to have a little more emotion on it than most. So that's why we've been successful in helping tell this story. But what you did with your journey is you took it pure. That was one of the motivators for me to do this. Once I knew, now I've been doing this for 3 years or so, and now to really know and have focused on implants and All-On-4, that's what we do for clients all around the nation, to now it's my turn. My whole thinking and process behind it was, how can I take those along with me, because I did all the due diligence with my mom, my mother-in-law, all that. So I know how much due diligence really should go into this. Sometimes it's forsaken because they don't know the questions. So being the patient advocate, how can I take all those questions that I know, have heard from talking to other patients, and compile them and let people come along the journey? But you, honestly, Laura, was one of the reasons why I did it, because I started thinking, do I just put all the questions together? Do I take pictures? But we do so much video. The thought was, look, let's really spend the time for every appointment, all the technology, the material, the financing, and really lay everything out for those, which you've done such a good foundation for people. No, you have.
I mean, it was
because
just
it was
my
real.
journey, so,
That's what made it so cool. Is it wasn't rehearsed. You weren't paid for it. It was you having a heart of going, wait, now, because remind me, how long did you save up for this? It was a while.
It was more than 10 years. I mean, I don't remember exactly. I started working at where I worked up until this pandemic in 1999. And I started putting money away in a savings account all the way back then.
Really?
Yeah, but I'd use some of it here and there for other things. And so basically, I just put away a little bit at a time. And it never amounted to more money than I used when I was smoking. And so I always, when my niece who needed teeth, she can't afford it, so she got all her teeth pulled out and got dentures. I'm like, it's still perfect, because now you don't have the teeth there. Quit smoking, start putting away that money, and before you know it, you'll have the money saved for the implants, and maybe you can get mini implants, and then you can get the dentures. I mean, I just don't buy that people don't have the money unless they're on a fixed income. Then maybe it's a little harder, but if you're smoking, you have money for it.
Right.
Guaranteed.
That's it. And you have to stop, for this to be successful.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We've talked about how important a smile is. Walk me through from your eyes. You went through the surgery, you got the Temps. I remember all the different appointments on getting the final set for you and to the doc's credit, he really kept wanting to make sure you're happy. And I saw you even said that on some of the videos, how quick he was to try to not argue it, and that's one of the reasons I'm going there too.
Yeah.
The willingness to go, this is your smile, not just take what I give you.
You're right.
But now that you've got your finals and they look beautiful, how do you walk me through what it was like, either from a self-confidence, just looking in the mirror perspective, and do you feel it's just received better? Tell me the emotion of it. You know what I mean?
It was so funny because I didn't like my first set of Temps. And I was in kind of a hurry at the end of the surgery. So I knew that they weren't going to feel right, because I was just done. After the surgery, I'd been there a long time. And so I knew I'd be able to go back. I think that if I had been from out of town, it would have been different. But I would have stayed. But I knew I could go back, so I left. And I didn't like the way the first ones looked. So but I still thought they looked better than my original teeth.
Yeah.
But they didn't look the same as the second round of Temps. I think that that possibly they've learned quite a bit since then on Temps.
They have.
And because he gave me a set for my emergency teeth, and they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, they just don't look anything like the Temps that I had. So I think that it's funny though, because when I got my second set of Temps, I was so thrilled. And I talked to people, and I worked really hard on the list.
Speech, yeah.
Which wasn't that bad, really. What's hard is talking to yourself and practicing, because I mean that just feels weird, right? But I'd talk to myself, and I would give presentations and try to find areas where I had trouble.
Yeah, certain words.
And sometimes it's just weird, like. Your mouth just stops working right, and you'll get into this weird thing where it's hard to make anything sound like you're not lisping. But I practiced, and I felt really confident with those Temps. And I went to conventions with them. I spoke in front of many audiences with them, and I felt really good about them.
Good.
And then I got the permanents. I was astounded at how different everything was. It was like I went from a 1973 Volkswagen to a Ferrari, a new Ferrari.
Wow.
You know, it was pretty dramatic. It was that dramatic. And I remember he wasn't real happy with the first teeth that he.
I remember that. Yeah.
And they changed the color a little bit on them, and once they got the gum color right, I loved him. And I fought him every step of the way because he felt like that they could make them better, but I felt like they looked like exactly what I wanted. And they weren't 100% perfect, and I know that he is a perfectionist.
He is.
And that really got on to him, that they weren't perfect, but that's what I liked about him so much. And in the end, those were the ones that I wore for forever, and you know, when as permanents. He made those beautiful new ones, and they were just so perfect and so pretty, but I still wanted the other ones back. And he was like, you know, okay, but he really loved the other ones better, but I just fell in love with the first set.
And they're yours, you know, and it's whatever you feel represents you, not what someone else thinks.
Well, and that's hard, right? Because no matter what, when you're talking, no matter who you talk to, if they haven't had this done, they don't know. And when you talk to your dentist or your, you know, your surgeon, the cosmetic people that come in and talk to you about it,
prosthodontist.
They just don't. They really depend on you articulating what you need, and that's really hard.
It's so hard
to articulate what you're feeling, where you're feeling it, how it's feeling, what you don't like about these teeth, what you like about those teeth, you know, and it's really hard to articulate things to them.
It's emotionally involved, and how do you sometimes explain the attraction to what you feel like it looks like with everything else, and that it's more you than another set, right?
That's it, and it's also you don't know the material limitations. You don't know like some of the things that you might be requesting are not possible with the material.
Right.
So, and I think that they hesitate to get that in depth in the conversation with the patient, you know, and I don't know that that's a fact, but I just feel like that sometimes they keep it at this level when the real explanation may be down here somewhere, and it may be easier not to
dive that deep.
Yeah, but it's hard to articulate it when you don't like something or something feels weird.
Okay, I got a pressing question. On the documenting side of things, I think it was right before your surgery you started, right? It was like 24 hours before it was your first one.
Yeah,
you
and
filmed.
It was just sort of a fluke thing. I'd been watching videos on YouTube and on the I'd Google, you know, and find all these, and they were all so slick and polished. And then I found out that they didn't pay anything for anything, and everything was paid and free for them. And so
Don't trust it.
It just, yeah. So I didn't trust it. And so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to, I hated being on video. I hated showing my teeth to people. I have virtually no photos of me for the past, I don't know, 20 years. And I just had to swallow that pride and take that first video, which was so unnatural to me to take a video of myself. And nobody in my home knew about it. My husband still doesn't know. My husband does not know I have a YouTube channel.
Are you serious?
I am serious. I'm serious. It's an unnatural thing for me to do. It's not, I don't like myself in video. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like the way I look. And it's really hard for me to make those videos. That's why they're not slick. That's why they're not edited or fancy. I press the button go. I say what I got to say. I turn it off and I upload it. I don't overthink it.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is what makes it so good from our perspective. So this video is an art for us. I mean,
yeah.
I love, but I hate the commercial. You'll see a lot of the places around town that do it. I hate the commercial side of things.
Yeah.
I knew from the business side of things, I knew you weren't being compensated. I don't even think you told the doctor about
No, somebody
that you were
else
doing
told
it.
him they saw them.
Okay, and so you were not looking for attention on it.
Mm-hmm.
You were not help me, and so I know you weren't paid for it. I know you weren't compensated, which is why I love it so much. You talk about how you're uncomfortable with it, and I understand that if you saw my first videos I did, which was back when I was in the oil and gas business, it was flip phone, walk around, do my thing, and I better have that thing memorized, or I don't, because I didn't know how to cut. I didn't know how to splice things in and have two cameras and all that kind of stuff, and so it was hard. And I know when you first see yourself on video, it's challenging, but you pressed through it. You did it. Why? What is the motivation?
Because I couldn't find any real information about anything. I felt like I felt like it was a global scam, you know? Like everybody was in cahoots with somebody.
Yeah.
And Real Self, Real Self seemed to be paid placement to me.
It is.
For me, in my business, everything is paid. Right, so if you want to show up higher, you pay. It's just like
pay to play.
Google Ads, right?
Yeah.
So I just didn't trust anything I saw, and when I did see somebody ask a question that a Gulpa person didn't like, they would viciously attack that person. And so I
saw that a lot of times. They would get on there, and you're like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
like,
mine too.
PR.
I had to ask Real Self to remove content from my own posts because people were vicious in their response, and they're defending a comment that had nothing to do with their experience. It was my experience.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just decided one day, you know what? I've done all this crazy stuff to get ready. I'm just going to show people what I'm doing, and my experience, good or bad. I was prepared to be honest throughout the whole thing, no matter what. So, and I've had tons of feedback, lots of messages, lots of emails, and people from all over the world emailing me. You know, and all of it has been pretty positive. I don't have any comments that are rude on YouTube. I have a couple of comments that were rude on Real Self, you know, but that's sort of YouTube. Most of the people that reached out to me have been people that are researching it. Where Real Self, a lot of the people seem to be, I swear some of them are employed by some of these dentists, you know, and just in the way that they act. And then I went and met with several different, like a handful of doctors and offices, and talked to people on the phone. And I just didn't, there's just something that got to me about each of them that I just didn't like. And she wasn't on my radar.
How many did you go to?
I went to 4.
4?
I talked to 1, went to 3.
Do you mind telling me who they were?
Fast New Smile, Gulpa. I can't remember. Gulpa was Vegas at the time.
Oh, so he didn't have the Dallas
No,
office
not
open
at the
yet?
time.
Did you go there, or did you just talk to him on the phone?
Talked to him on the phone. And then I can't remember the guy in North Dallas, but he was the teacher of implant science at Southwest, what is it called, the hospital? In UT Southwestern. Yeah. And then,
Who would that be?
and then I talked to Clear Choice.
You did talk to Clear Choice?
Yeah. And the Fast New Smile and Gulpa, who I didn't go to, and Clear Choice all put me with salespeople. Fast New Smile actually put me with like a 21-year-old salesperson.
Oh, that's good, because they can relate to what you're going through,
and
right?
she was showing me on the screen how they would place the implants.
Oh.
And I was like, and then he came in. He seemed like a nice guy, you know, but he seemed cold to me. He didn't have, like, I've said on a video, the way I look at people is, do I want to fight this guy? Is this guy going to help me when things go to hell?
That's it.
You know?
Is he going to partner with me?
Is he going to care about me?
That's right.
Or am I just a number, you know? And that was why Gulpa was knocked out immediately, because to get Gulpa, you paid extra, and you may not see him throughout this whole process. And then I was reading reviews, and people were saying that they never called back. They had to call multiple times to get return calls. Nobody checked on him after surgery. You know, just like all these clues that started adding up. They had rave reviews from lots of people, but then there were all these little clues
peppered in there. Yep.
Yeah, that they and Gulpa only grew from there. So I knew that I wanted to talk to the same people every single time. I didn't want to not know who I was going to talk to. I didn't want to deal with a salesperson, number one, at all. Salespeople, that is the absolute turnoff when you're talking dental work.
Especially, and God, if I can't, so any clinicians watching out there, please, please, please take it from both of us. This is, your implant and your All-On-4 patient is a different patient. They are not looking to be sold. They know they got issues. They're looking for someone they can trust and partner with them. Not some 21-year-old coming in that knows a little few words to tell and points to a few pretty pictures that they know how to do the spiel. They want to know that somebody can really answer the questions that they have, isn't going to just be on next, and then also to make sure that you actually have FaceTime with a clinician. If that's not budgeted into this relationship, you ought not be doing this. Period. Agreed?
That's right. I wanted to talk to the doctor.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk to some salesperson.
Yeah.
And now that one doctor that I talked to, the North Dallas guy, he was going to charge me like 80 grand.
Wow.
And that's just based on my description. And basically that's just pull all my teeth and, you know, because really it doesn't matter. I knew I didn't have bone density issues at that point because I had already had, I had already gone to Fast New Smile, and so I'd already had the x-rays. And so I could tell him that I didn't need
Did they charge you for that?
No.
Did they gave you the CT and scans to go home with?
No. They showed them to me. The kid, told me on the screen, said that my bone density looked good. I have tori. I've got lots of bone. And
so you have also that plate you have on your palate, the oh shoot.
I don't have a plate.
They don't have an extended plate also on the top of your palate? Sometimes when you have extra bone, you'll have
no, the bone is down here, the extra. And I have tori up here.
Okay.
But it doesn't, the tori hasn't been a problem on my upper, but on my lower, I have like, where the tori, they had to make the plate kind of weird shape because I have the tori, but I knew I had a lot of bone. And my gums were healthy. I didn't have any disease in my mouth, so I knew my gums were really good. And so I didn't have any trouble telling him all of that. I said, basically, I'm a pull them, place them, and put the tops on, you know? And so he was wanting like 80 grand for it. But he called me like at 9:50 at night, you know? So, and he was very passionate about it. And he really kind of wanted the case, I guess, you know, but 70, 80,000 was way out of my price range.
Ridiculous, yeah.
And it was all zirconia, which I knew already I didn't want.
Right.
And just from reading bits and pieces here and there that people had shards break off, and you know, I didn't want that.
You've gone to, so now a total of 4 or 5 consultations.
That was the 5th.
Okay, 5th. Some call, some
Yeah.
at purpose. You know, so now you're doing your due diligence. You've taken good notes. How did you know? Okay, let's phrase it this way. Since you've been to so many consultations, you've done such a good job documenting it. What do you wish you knew then that you know now?
I mean, at the due diligence process of it, it's really, there's nothing, because there's no way around feeling out people. There's just no way around it, you know? And if you can't get FaceTime with a doctor, I would be very cautious about trusting them for surgery, you know?
That's a great point.
And I mean considerable time, because what I feel is that for me, I'm not a wealthy person. This is money that I've saved over years and years. And this is a one-shot deal for me. You know, I can't continue to fix things if they break and that. So I always feel the dentist is dentists are wealthy and they have plenty of money, so they may not comprehend how monstrous this is for somebody that doesn't. It's like buying I didn't even have a car worth that much, you know?
Right, exactly.
So it's like buying a car or a house, you know? It's the second largest purchase I've ever made in my life, you know? So I feel like that there's a gut feeling, and I've always trusted that gut feeling for me. And the warmth that I got from everybody in that office made me know that was the person that I really wanted to work with. I mean, it's hard to explain.
So it's gut. What you're saying is, do you feel respected as a person, right? I think that would be one way. Do you feel like they respect how significant of a decision this is for you as a patient? How significant of a lifestyle sacrifice it is for you as a patient, not just from sacrificing the time and energy to go through the process, but the money, getting to know the process. I mean, it's not, even though there's a lot of emotion behind it, it ought not be an emotional response. I mean, a decision, it's something that you really spend a lot of time, especially from what I've watched with you on, just, this is a big deal.
Right, it's a big deal.
If that doctor does not really take the time, like she said, to really spend and get to know you, because that relationship, because you're extremely vulnerable, right? I mean, you think about it, there's not many more surgeries that you're more vulnerable than this.
That's right.
Because you're on your back, your mouth's open, you're in a very vulnerable situation.
You know, I just thought of something. If I had advice for doctors that were building out their practice on this, I think it's really easy for a doctor to get jaded on tire kickers.
Great point.
And you can't afford to treat somebody like a tire kicker, even if you know deep down they are. Because
great point.
They may not be.
Great point. You don't know, don't prejudge.
Right.
Great point.
And they may pull up in a 1990 Toyota, but they may not be driving a nice car because they've been saving since 1990.
Great
you know?
point.
And anyway, it's hard to not do that. I deal with that myself as a consultant. I deal with that myself. I can tell when a customer is never going to pay what I charge, you know. Right. But I still have to follow through and go through the whole process and treat them just as importantly as I know somebody that's just going to throw the money at me, you know.
Because it's respecting the person, not the pocketbook.
Yeah. And ultimately, they may want to. Eventually, they may come back 5 years later and say, I finally decided to do it.
I've tried teaching some of these clinicians a little on that, because there's seasons we all go through. I've had a lot of money, and I've had very little money.
Right.
Personally, our family, we've seen mountaintops and valleys.
Right.
And so just because you're in a valley for a moment doesn't mean, right? And just because you're in a mountaintop for a moment. And so, you know, I've tried to tell them, look, respect the person, not the pocketbook, is the way I try to remind them on this, because you don't know, and you don't know, it's the person. They deserve your time, they deserve that. So that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. I really am. Okay, just so we don't run, did you end up saving were you able to deduct this on your taxes? You brought that up in one of the videos.
I did. I have a tax accountant. He's not like my accountant. He just does my taxes, right? So I told him that I had this huge outlay, you know, of money, and he said that, yeah, it's like a catastrophic medical expense. But I think that your mileage may vary based on your income.
Yep.
Because if you don't make a lot of money, I don't think you get back. I think you just have to be in that sweet spot where you can maximize your return sort of on that. So, because I talked to somebody online and she's like, well, if you don't have a lot of money, I don't have a lot of money.
Right.
But what I mean, I just happen to be in that income bracket where it maximized that deduction.
Okay. So in kind of further building out questions as you're trying to help, I know you don't need to repeat all you've already invested into your channel. I'd love to help point people to that if that's all right for you. Sure. So they can see that. But what would be, if you had to give kind of a cheat sheet, you're going into a consultation, your best friend in Maryland just called, she's got to go into these consultations, she knows you've been through all this, and she has just a few minutes to write down, okay, these are the top 4 things or 5 things to make sure you look at in a consultation. We covered the personality, the gut, you know, will they treat you like a person? What else, what questions or what else would you look at in that consultation?
Materials. Unfortunately, the materials seem to be evolving as we go.
Pretty quick,
that's pretty hard to talk to. You have to kind of almost take a leap of faith with material because there's not a lot of documentation of past performance. But that was what I was really interested in seeing, was what materials they use. And I find that if a doctor only offers you one choice, that was a warning for me, because I wanted different options, and I wanted to know who was going to be working with me the whole time. I wanted to know the warranty information. I felt more confident. I wanted a contract. I'm handing you all this money. Where's my guarantee? You know, that. I mean, to some extent, I look at the age of the doctor also. That sounds so unfair, but I look at the age of the doctor and the probability of them being in business for the lifetime warranty, because ultimately a lifetime warranty is only good
with who's offering it.
Right.
Yep.
And so I kind of gauge that.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the facility, you know, the facility, the cohesiveness of the team. Watch people as you're in the office, watch them how they're working, how they're talking to each other, because all that matters to me. A happy team usually guarantees better results if everybody loves what they do. Yep. All the way down to the front desk. You know, you don't want a office full of conflict working in your mouth. You know?
You don't want that stress or drama.
But other than that, that's really all you've got going, right? You materials, how you feel about the people, the contract, what your guarantee is the guarantee, what are the very specifics about the guarantee? I'm a detail-oriented person, so that was a little weird, not having any kind of contract at all. So what I ended up doing is going to their website and taking screenshot. I emailed them, got copies of emails, because I felt like
you could document it if you ever had, if you ever had a problem, you could, that attorney would say, well, do you have any proof? You say a blip, and that attorney,
That's right. And give them a WaterPik and give them a toothbrush, because as weird as that seemed, okay, this is the weirdest thing of all. I wanted my damn free WaterPik and my toothbrush. And I know that I'm spending all this money, but I wanted them to recommend and give that to me, because I'm going to end up buying more. I have like 8 WaterPiks right now.
8?
Yeah, because I found one model that I really like and they don't make it anymore. So every time a new one comes up on eBay, I buy it, and because I hate the new models. And somebody needs to work with WaterPik on this too.
I saw that video, and in fact, I was going to bring that up in our notes where you did the bag trick because of that mold of that water getting into the deal, and so that's going to be.
It needs to snap apart.
That's going to be something that, because of the unique way God's taken me on, I never thought I'd be in this dental world like I am, but He's given us relationships with some people that we have an ear to that can do things, and you know what I mean? And so that's going to be something, I've called you a lot about some of the different, you're kind of part of my focus group, right? Because you've done all that. So I've asked your opinion about a lot of things, and thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for sharing it. But I think you're right when you said in that video that they don't have even a line or have somebody with knowledge for the All-On-4 user and how have some special attachments, have it,
implants even, not just All-On-4. Implants have special needs. They need a hook to get under that implant. And I consistently go to the doctor for cleanings, and they tell me that my teeth are unbelievably clean.
I can attest to that, by the way. You said you literally are, nobody's seen anything like it. So you have the cleanest teeth of anybody, of any doctor or any patient we've ever. So good job.
Well, but WaterPik could make it easier.
Yeah, they could.
They could make it a lot easier for people. And I use the WaterPik more than most WaterPik users. So I'm using it 30 minutes a day.
Okay.
And so I just think that it would be great if they could have a whole product specified for implant use, not just All-On-4, but implant use. But anyway.
I'm going in at 12:30 tomorrow.
God, that's
to have done what you have had done.
That's the easy part, though.
What do you mean?
Getting it done. That's the easy part.
It's the post part, the aftermath that you think is the hard.
The worst part is trying to pick and trying to get,
feel comfortable
it's
with
the beginning.
All right. So I'm already.
You're done.
It's downhill running.
This is the easy part now.
Okay. You mentioned some of your recipes and some that were really good. Would you mind sharing any of those if you have them with me? And we'd love to share with anybody else on this. If you have those, that's a request. If you can dig them up, number one. If not, no worries. Number two. I would love to, as we kind of go on, and maybe I've met with some doctors, and we're kind of now, we're pretty advanced. I've had my surgery. I might be getting close to my finals. I'd love to sit down with you again, and I don't want to kill too much of your time, but to then lay out for you what we've been able to see and let you speak into that, because I really do believe you have this unique analytical, almost engineering, but you also understand customer service. You've got this.
It's IT.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the IT in me.
Okay. And so, and I'm not, I'm different in my approach. So by pooling all those together and bringing, I got to interview Sean O'Shea. You will be my 6th interview over the last few days.
That's
I just
crazy.
drove back from Austin interviewing Santa. We got to Sean from Colorado, and Jen and my mom. We had to go through that, and so it's just been all the appointments, and that's been a week and a half, and we've been just marathoning. One of the hardest parts about being in the dental world and serving clients was the passion side of it, because like you mentioned earlier, they all seem wealthy. They all seem like they got plenty of money. And you start asking yourself, okay, I've just helped them increase their revenue 2 or 3x.
Right.
What's the point, right? And so it's good, and that's why my favorite part's always been the interviews with the patients, right? Because we're able to, a lot of friendships have formed because of that. But now going through this, I thought, the purpose behind this nobody, like I said, I mean, we're not doing this for anybody but a patient. And so to have that for me has kind of revitalized me, even though we're putting in 70 hours a week before this happens. It's to kind of, we have that purpose, and hopefully can help people like you, like my mom, like me, if I hadn't had this opportunity to be able to do this.
It didn't give me
It didn't?
No, it didn't. I still hate making the videos. I just do them because I feel like it helps people. And if anybody's researching, and I may remember something, like some of my videos don't have a lot of content, but it's just something that I thought, well, maybe somebody needs to know this, or somebody is wondering about this, you know. That's it. I mean, mine has been...
Which isn't that purpose? When I say purpose, I don't mean you're bored and you have to find something to do, but the purpose behind wanting to help someone else.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to help somebody. In fact, I was in Canada after I had this done, and I was going downstairs to go to work with the company there, and I passed a dental convention. And it was, if I had had time, I would have walked in there and said, hey, let me talk to y'all about this.
Yeah.
And I mean, because I just feel, I feel so, like I'm not embarrassed about them, you know, and I feel that there's so much stigma attached to dental work.
So much.
Yeah, and so, I mean, most of my friends on Facebook do know that I've had this done. You know, most of them do, but they don't really know what. They think I've had individual, you know, they don't really know how
Which is
radical
great.
it is, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, I just love to tell people the story about it, and well, no, and also one last thing is that they don't make a lot of money on this. The time that they invest in this, and the care and the hours that are involved in this is actually cheaper than my crowns.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. It's cheaper. It's a whole mouth, so you have to compound all that cost. But it's cheaper than a crown because so much more is invested in it. So many people, so much talent, you know, is invested in it, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not a gold mine for dentists. There's a lot of liability for a dentist to be doing this kind of work. So
Yeah.
I hate when I hear people say that. That's the one thing I hate hearing on these bulletin forums and Real Self, and when dentist posts on Facebook. I hate hearing that because it's not. They're not making a killing on this.
Right. And those that specialize in it, they'll make good money, but the amount of time, money, energy, and effort it took them to get to that point also.
Yes.
I know the overhead that goes into that, how much it costs to get a good team. You use quality material. It's not. Yeah, it's a good point, and I know I'm quick to beat up the dentist, but
No, you're paying for that.
Yeah.
You're paying for that experience. And with Golpa, if I can just say this, Golpa treats, to me, the way I felt about them is they treat patients like an assembly line. And so they probably make tons more money at this because it's not the same standard of care.
It's a churn and burn.
And this is just, of course, my impression. I don't know that for a fact. You know, I don't know for a fact. But that was the feeling I got from them, is that it's sort of a churn, you know, and they don't even know your name. I don't need that. But it was nice.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need it though. I don't need to be pampered or anything.
Right.
I didn't even get sedation. I mean, I got the pills.
The oral sedation.
Yeah,
you
and
didn't get IV.
I didn't. You don't need an IV for it unless maybe from a medical standpoint, maybe I was fighting them in my sleep and I didn't know. I don't know. But
I'm getting it.
You're getting
I'm
it, yeah.
I'm too much of I've been through it. I've filmed, like I said. I've been in a full surgery, so I've seen this through a lens from a clinical. No, I didn't. Not your surgery, not yours. My mother-in-law's. I had to be in there for my mother-in-law's. She had upper and lower, and I mean from beginning all the way to the very end.
Wow.
We had to film that whole thing for a clinical. So I mean, my frame is this.
Wow.
It was something, and we've since had to film a lot of surgeries, but yeah. But it's one of those things that I told them, go ahead and take me out. So tomorrow,
good luck.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some of the videos also like you did, just quick ones because I'm not going to have time to do all
You'll see how
this,
easy it is. But
yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be easy.
Well, thank you so much.
No
I actually feel
problem.
more excited, and the fact that I'm
So
almost on the
exciting.
downhill slope. I'm only doing the upper right now. I've got some other dentists I'm going to be talking to on the lower, but you know, I'm excited because to be done with that and be on that road, to know you'll never have a cavity again,
Isn't
never
it
have another
awesome?
root canal.
You take good
know?
care of them, and
Yeah.
hopefully they'll last you the rest of your
Lifetime.
life.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
I
no
really
worries.
appreciate it.
It's great.
Thank you.